Well, good morning, and thank you all so much for being here. Sorry to keep you waiting, but we're gathered here in beautiful Edmonton, Strathcona, where as of Saturday, I am now the MLA. And I'm thrilled to be joined today by my colleague Gurtej Singh Brar, the new MLA for Edmonton Ellerslie. Will be sworn in formally this afternoon, and with many of our New Democrat caucus members. So let's begin today by understanding that we're standing here on the south banks of the South Saskatchewan River in a place where people have been gathering for thousands and thousands of years, drawn here by that water. And today we call it Treaty 6 territory. We also want to acknowledge the Métis people who've had the long, deep connection to this land. So it's been a busy and meaningful few weeks since those by-elections. We had Canada Day. And I had the opportunity on Canada Day to travel around the Edmonton region, talking to people about their dreams and hopes of this country, talking about their pride, their belonging, and what it means to live here. And many of my colleagues have been traveling across the province doing just the same thing. And of course, we just had a busy 10 days at the Calgary Stampede, talking to thousands of regular people, Albertans, visitors, about what Alberta means to them and about what Canada means to them. Things feel good now. We have strong momentum here. We've won 3 by-elections in a row. We have a government that is tripping over itself while it's frankly falling apart. And a premier who, in order to save her own political skin, she's scared of our momentum, she's scared about her grip over her own base, is now playing dice with the future of the country. The difference between Danielle Smith and David Cameron is that David Cameron never publicly admitted that he caused the Brexit referendum to save his own political skin. It didn't work. Danielle Smith is at least more honest. She's told us all that this has nothing to do with Canada. It has nothing to do with getting a better deal for Alberta. It has everything to do with the fact that she's scared that if she doesn't do this, her base will abandon her and no one else likes her enough to vote for her. So she's actually playing with the future of the country in order to save herself. And here's the thing, Albertans are worried about this, but they also know why she's doing it. They know that she is trying to distract from her own record on the cost of living, on healthcare, on education, on public safety, and on the environment. Albertans are already angry about this government's lack of success in any of these areas where Albertans are clearly much less well off than they were when the UCP took power 6 years ago, and much less well off than they were 2 years ago when Danielle Smith became the premier. But on top of all of this, the premier is causing enormous anxiety. We hear from seniors every day who thought they had won the battle on protecting their Canada pension plan and now see that on the table again. We hear from people every day who are concerned about safety in urban and rural environments, who believe in the RCMP, who are scared of the premier taking that away from them. And we hear from neighbours every day who say what the premier is doing is only intended to divide. It's there to fight neighbour against neighbour, to pit neighbour against neighbour, to get us fighting against one another. And that is fundamentally un-Albertan. And for those who have slightly longer memories, we hear about how talk of separatism destroyed the economy of the province of Quebec for a generation, where moving trucks started going down the 401, where companies like Canadian Pacific moved their head office to Calgary and the Bank of Montreal to Toronto. And we don't want that again. We've heard from business people across this province that they're not investing in Alberta anymore, that they can't, that they're not going to invest a dollar when they don't know what country they're investing in. And we've heard from so many people that this sham set of panels that the premier is setting up will only lead to ruin for Alberta and will lead to no good outcomes for anybody. So let's be clear. It doesn't matter whether Danielle Smith is a separatist. She's acting like one. She's acting like one every single day. And she's taking our province towards separating from this country. She's been clear about this. She wants to get rid of your Canada pension plan and remove Albertans from it. She's been clear and spent unbelievable amounts of money on trying to replace the RCMP, even though Albertans have said no over and over again. And she herself, though she claims she doesn't believe in it, has made it easier to hold a referendum on separating from Canada, meaning nobody's going to invest in Alberta from now until next spring, not a penny. And we know what this means to Albertans. It's already happened. We've already scared off investments. We've already threatened jobs. We've already seen layoffs. We've already seen a weakened economy. We've already seen people having less and less access to critical services like healthcare. It affects our stability. It affects the business environment. But more important, Albertans are proud Canadians. We're proud of what's been built here over thousands of years and what's been built on this land for people from every corner of this earth for the last 150 years or so. And we will not let Danielle Smith gamble that away. Albertans deserve better, and better is, in fact, possible. So in all these conversations, I'll tell you what gives me hope. That the Albertans that we've talked to across the province have pride. They've got strength. They've got determination. They're not going to stand by and let Danielle Smith do this. In the hundreds and thousands, they're going to show up at those town halls and tell Premier Smith she's wrong. She's going to be very surprised at the people who show up at these sham do-nothing panels that she's spending millions of dollars on. Even her own members of the panel are shocked at what she's doing, and I'll be shocked if none of them resign over the next few days saying they don't want to be a part of this craziness. There's a growing Team Canada spirit right here on this street facing the North Saskatchewan River. We see people hanging Canadian flags from their balconies. Albertans are ready to lead this. And that's why today I'm happy to tell you about the rest of our summer. Today we launch Better Together. And this summer and into the fall, Alberta's New Democrats are hitting the road. We are going to be visiting communities across the province. My colleagues and I will be knocking on your doors. We will be visiting your community events. We'll be hosting town halls. And we'll be talking about what Albertans really need. We'll be at parades and festivals. We'll be meeting with Albertans in your communities face to face. It's a summer of listening. It's a summer of sharing. And more important, it's a summer of how we come together and show our pride and our dedication as true Canadians. So I'm encouraging all Albertans to join us in Better Together. Fly the flag. Buy local. Have honest conversations with your neighbors and your friends about our collective future. Remind yourself that all this division and anger is fundamentally un-Albertan. That here in Alberta we stick together. That we come together, that we solve problems, that we make things better. We don't flap our arms around and yell and scream and throw tantrums and threaten to take our toys away. That's not what built this province, and that is not what Albertans are interested in. And every single place we go this summer, we will give Albertans the tools and the space to stand up for Canada, to show that we're not interested in being torn apart, we're interested in coming together. So this summer, we're putting Danielle Smith on notice. As her government and her caucus crumble around her, as her support falls further and further, we are here to let her know that Albertans believe in Canada, that Canada matters, that Canada is worth fighting for, and we refuse to let her tear our country apart for political gain. This summer is about reminding ourselves and our neighbors that we're stronger when we unite, because we are, and we will always be better together. It's going to be a great summer. I'm excited to spend it with all of you, and you can follow along and find out when we'll be in your community by visiting bettertogethersummer.ca. Thanks, and I'm happy to take questions.
All right, for everybody who's joined us online on Zoom, just a reminder that if you want to ask a question, all you need to do is raise your hand. We'll start here at the site. If you have a question, just come see me over here by the microphone, and we're going to start off with Sean Amato from City News.
Hello there. On your panel series or your town hall series, how many events are you going to have? How many communities are you going to visit? And are you also interested in attending any Alberta Next panel events to listen to Albertans and hear what's happening there?
Oh, I think Albertans will attend those Alberta Next sham panels on our behalf. We're not interested in giving any credence to what the Premier is trying to do there. But the difference between us and them is she's having a few formal events. We're actually talking to Albertans. So we will have 4 or 5 formal events over the summer and into the early fall, but we will also be showing up where Albertans are. We'll be coming to community events. My colleagues have been busy knocking on doors, talking to people on their doorsteps. And we're going to continue to do that wherever people are gathering in community this summer.
Different topic. The Premier and Public Safety Minister have recently made a call on Ottawa to designate the Bishnoi Gang a terrorist organization. What is your reaction to that? Do you agree with the Premier on this matter?
Well, they're only months and months and months late to understanding the real challenges that many people in our South Asian community are having with extortion and organized crime. Certainly, MLA Brar and I were on the hustings in Edmonton Ellerslie this summer. We heard about this all the time. Well, actually, everyone here was on the hustings in Edmonton Ellerslie this summer and heard about this all the time. And the government has ignored it. They claim to be tough on crime, but they don't care about crime that happens to you if you're South Asian or if you're the victim of organized crime in Southeast Edmonton or Northeast Calgary. This is a real problem. And for them to simply follow the bandwagon of Premier David Eby and say, we will declare we want the federal government to do something. We want the federal government to declare the Bishnoi Gang a terrorist organization. They can do a lot better than that. And frankly, Minister Ellis should be ashamed of himself. As the Minister of Public Safety, he has ensured that many, many people in our community are not feeling safe at all. Business people are being blackmailed. Extortion is happening. We've seen violent crime happen. And the response of this government has been to do nothing except a month after Eby said it to say, hey, Ottawa, you should do something about it. I think that's disgusting.
Lisa Johnson, Canadian Press.
Thanks, Kirk. I'm wondering, so I look at the website, I see 3 dates, one in Lethbridge, one in Red Deer, one in Edmonton. I'm wondering if just logistically you're planning to add more to that list. And on the Alberta Next panels, what do you expect the Premier's town halls might do to public opinion on the issues the 6 issues that she wants to focus on?
It all depends on whether they actually let the people at these events speak. I understand that hundreds and hundreds of Albertans have signed up to go to these events. I'm telling you right now, those are not separatists. Those are people who are unbelievably angry that the Premier is doing this. So we'll see if she shuts them up. We'll see if she gives them the mic. We'll see if she lets them speak. This is a sham. Two of her board members have now said publicly that they weren't expecting a sham fake survey with push-poll questions, that they are worried about their own professional reputations as being part of this. The whole thing is a scam. She's wasting money on it, and she's just trying to make Albertans mad. Well, she succeeded in making Albertans mad. I don't think she expected that they'd be mad at her.
And this is completely off topic, but a question from one of my colleagues, and this might also ruin your arrangement because I'm hoping Sarah can weigh in on the numbers.
Sir? Okay, good. I'll say a word and then she'll jump in.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I mean, you know what the question is. Per capita, we're the worst in North America for measles numbers, but now it looks like we've surpassed the United States in actual real numbers. So what's your reaction to that?
Now, this is a shocking thing. Today, Alberta will likely have more measles cases than the entire United States, a place with 100 times our population. This is a very big problem. The good news is I've been very, very comforted by the work that the Minister of Public Health and Prevention, what is her title? Primary Care and Prevention. Her press conferences have been awesome. She's been giving all the right messages, and I'm really happy that our acting Chief Medical Officer of Health has really been helping Albertans through this. Oh, no, wait! We haven't heard a word from any of them. Ever since the minister was demoted, she's also disappeared. And in a time where we have a massive public health outbreak, we are seeing absolute silence from this government. Look, we know they're anti-vaccine. We know they don't care about public health. We know they think if you get sick, it's God's revenge on you or you didn't take the right natural vitamins. People are getting very sick. Children are getting very, very ill. And we have not seen public health clinics open across the province. We haven't seen walk-ins to get your measles vaccines, and we haven't heard a word from the minister or the chief medical officer of health. This is absolute dereliction of duty, and it has very real consequences on children who are getting very, very ill and others who are getting sick. So I just want to remind everybody now, and I'll turn it over to Sarah to say more. If you were born after 1970, you should have 2 doses of your MMR vaccine. If you don't, call 811 or look on your electronic health records, look at your vaccinations. If you don't have them, book an appointment today. Don't wait for the government to make it easier for you because they're not going to. But let's make sure that we keep everyone safe. And in particular, let's make sure that every single kid in Alberta gets 2 doses of that MMR vaccine. The consequences of not getting them are too great. Sarah?
Yeah. Sorry, I just hope we haven't passed it yet.
Well, we probably will at noon today.
Yeah, I think we were a handful of cases behind last public reporting, and we certainly are growing at rates faster than even the United States. So yeah, to have more cases in the province of Alberta probably later today than the entire United States combined is incredibly dangerous. The Alberta government website itself says that for every 1,000 cases, somewhere between 1 and 3 people is likely to die. And we've already passed that number. What we haven't done, though, is seen the government really step up their public awareness. We still don't have a permanent chief medical officer of health, which is not a good thing for the people of Alberta. And I'll just add to what our leader said around getting 2 doses. I assumed, because my parents were very good at getting me vaccinated, that I had 2 doses. But the standards changed in the late 90s when we actually eradicated measles in Canada to have 2 doses. And that was when I was a teenager without a family doctor living on my own. So I fortunately have a good relationship with public health. Last year they checked my record and gave me my 2nd dose before all of this broke out. Actually around the same time that the then Chief Medical Officer of Health was flagging this for Adriana LaGrange and Danielle Smith as a real issue that they needed to get on top of. If Naheed would have been the Premier, we would have done it. We would have had a very big public health campaign and we would have made sure that everyone had the information they needed. So even if you think your parents probably did the right thing and got you vaccinated, check that you have your 2nd dose, please, because many of us didn't have 2 doses. And especially, as he said, for the young people, make sure that they're properly vaccinated. And the science is very clear on this. When people are immunized, they can have good long lives with great health outcomes with far fewer risks than measles poses. So, I want to reinforce what he's saying. And yeah, it does seem very likely that later today we will have even more cases in Alberta than the entire United States combined. Yeah.
All right, Catherine Gakowski, Alberta Today.
Hi. So on the Bishnoi gang, what more can be done at the provincial level to reassure people to help with safety?
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one is, as we've done in the past with organized crime and gangs, we need to make sure that we have an integrated response here among the municipal police services and the RCMP, and I suppose the new random Alberta Police Agency that we don't know what it is or what it does. But we need to come together with organized crime task forces. We need to be able to work directly on these. We need to have culturally sensitive conversations with people in the South Asian community, ensure we're speaking their languages, ensuring that we're gaining their trust. I've done this before. When I was mayor of Calgary, we worked hard on issues of organized crime throughout the province and in the city, and we were able to really, really crack down on that crime and make sure that people were safe. And frankly, I've seen absolutely nothing from this government indicating they even know about this problem.
And the outcome of the Alberta Next panel will possibly be referenda questions. I'm wondering, what do you hope will come out of this better together? Is it going to inform a platform, bills, motions? What do you hope to get out of it?
It really is about giving Albertans the tools they need to fight against what this tiny fringe who runs our government wants in terms of separation. So yeah, it is the Premier's not exactly hiding her intent here. She wants to have a multiple referendum questions next spring to kind of hide the one on separatism and hope that, maybe people will just vote for an Alberta pension plan and not vote for separatism. This is such a dangerous game. She thinks she's smarter than Prime Minister David Cameron. She thinks she's smarter than Prime Minister Chrétien in 1995. She thinks she's smarter than Prime Minister Trudeau in 1980. Here's what we know. Once a referendum is called, it cannot be controlled. And if she wants to have a referendum in June, I'll remind you that Brexit had fewer people voting yes 10 months before their referendum, fewer people in polls saying they would vote yes than we do today. And in the end, Brexit passed and we lost at least a decade of economic growth in the UK. The Scottish referendum didn't pass, but it's cost the Scottish economy a generation of growth. And the Premier started this and she will not be able to control it. So ultimately we need Albertans to say, stop it, Premier, and have the guts to actually go to Albertans and say, I believe in separatism, and if you don't want me as your Premier, or say, I don't believe in separatism and I'm not going to play games with these folks anymore. And she won't do either.
Up next is Isaac Lamoureux, True North.
Yeah, Mr. Nenshi, the Alberta UCP recently implemented legislation limiting the type of content children can access in schools, especially
Tell me about that
regarding
Tell me about the legislation.
Sexually explicit content in
what
books
did they actually do
for children.
Did they put in legislation?
Well, they've announced legislation.
No, they didn't. They put in a ministerial order, and that ministerial order says absolutely nothing. In fact, the minister himself didn't know what his own ministerial order said when he announced it. Look, of course we need age-appropriate materials in schools. Everybody knows that. Not one parent, not one teacher disagrees with that. But what we don't need is a minister who is pushed by far-right U.S. advocacy books to ban certain books that he's never read, that he's never looked at, instead of actually funding the education system so that we have teacher librarians making these decisions who are experts. Right now we have the lowest per student funding in the province. And this performative thing that the minister did, which didn't actually change any of the guidelines, is purely performative. It's a pure distraction. Let's actually fund education, and let's make sure the teachers don't go all striking this fall.
In his press conference, though, Minister Nicolaides did say he can't ban specific books, so this was just more of a broad implementation.
Yes, it was purely performative.
Would you keep it in any way or completely
Well, how about
eliminate
we
it?
actually have real guidelines that ensure age-appropriate materials are in school, and how about we hire teacher librarians to do the work? Let's not just perform.
All right, we're going to go to Zoom now. Matthew Black from the Edmonton Journal is on the line. Go ahead, Matthew.
Sworn in later today, and you'll be in the Assembly in a few months' time. What do you see changing after that in terms of your party's strategy, its approach, and how it goes about things in the
I've got this
legislature?
amazing team who've done a terrific job in the legislature without me. In fact, I wonder if they're a little upset that they're going to have me in there. Yes, no?
Bring it. Bring it.
I think they're kind of excited about it. I'm kind of excited about it too. Really though, Albertans are going to see a lot of changes. Well, actually I should say Albertans aren't going to see a ton of changes. A lot of it happens under the hood in terms of how we can talk together, how we can communicate with Albertans and so on. But in reality, we will be what we've always been, a better alternative. And our job is to encourage Albertans to understand that as angry as you are at this government, you deserve better. You don't have to stand for this. And there is, in fact, a much better choice, and that's what you're going to see a lot of. And I'm looking forward to having Gertej in the House, and I'm looking forward to making that case even more strongly to the people of Alberta.
Follow up, Matthew?
Sure, yeah, and you obviously had a team in there last session where you weren't quite elected yet, but so how will that work? Will everyone shift down the bench a little bit, or will we maybe see new or bigger roles for some members of your caucus?
Sorry, Matthew, you're a bit hard to hear, but I think you were asking about whether we're going to shift the front bench a bit. And we're not going to do anything right this moment, but I am going to spend the summer and part of what we learned from Better Together talking to my caucus and figuring out how we can best organize ourselves. Right now, we are organized basically against the UCP cabinet organization, but I got to tell you, it's terrible. They haven't organized their government very well because they're not interested in making positive change. So, for example, we don't have a Minister of Housing. We don't have a Minister of Labor. We do have shadow ministers in those two areas. But what we don't have is a government that's really focused on what Albertans need. We have a Minister of Affordability who never talks about affordability. We have a Minister of Environment who's never said the word environment or climate and thinks she's the Energy Minister. We have a Minister of Energy Minister who repeats whatever the Minister of Environment says. So we don't need to play those games anymore. We need to focus on what Albertans really need and stay tuned to see what changes may happen.
All right, Matthew, thank you for that. Michelle Bellefontaine from CBC Edmonton. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the schedule for your Better Together summer. So you've got 3 events so far, I guess, Lethbridge, Red Deer, and Edmonton. Are you going to expand geographically? Like, is it going to be like maybe smaller communities?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what
sure.
you're planning?
So it's much more than those 3 events. You know, the Alberta Next panel is about a sham survey and fake events. This is about really getting to Albertans. So, for example, Wednesday. Wednesday, I'll be in Red Deer at the Westerner Exposition, and along with some of my colleagues. So we will be at community festivals and at parades, and we actually have a very, very big plan this summer of knocking on people's doors and being out in neighborhoods and playgrounds and dog parks, talking to Albertans. It's grassroots, but it's very real. It's not manufactured the way the Premier's is, and we're really looking forward to getting thousands and thousands of individual data points. You know, a good contrast of this is what happened during the Calgary Stampede. The Premier sort of went to a bunch of lobbyist events. She held her own pancake breakfast, and that was it. You know, we did some of those lobbyist events. We had our own pancake breakfast, but we also went to neighborhoods. We went to every church and every community association's pancake breakfast. as I did personally, and talk to thousands and thousands and thousands of Albertans in their own communities in real life, not the manufactured stuff the Premier is doing. We will manufacture a few things. We will have 5 or so formal town halls, but it's much, much more than that. We will be encouraging Albertans to get lawn signs, to get flyers, to talk to their friends and neighbours about this, and you're going to see this better together messaging across the whole province.
Michelle, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah. So when you won the leadership, you had pledged to get out to all the ridings across Alberta. And so I'm wondering what you're doing this summer to meet that goal.
A lot more of that. I'm doing pretty well. I've gotten to, I think, every riding in the large and mid-sized cities, I think. I have to look and see if I've missed any. And now it's a matter of getting across the rest of Alberta as well. I'm looking at my Edmonton colleagues going, have I missed any of your ridings?
You can come this winter.
I feel like I might not have actually been in Glenora yet.
It's okay.
I've gone for dinner in Glenora. Does that count?
Sure, but we'll get you to the Olive Bright Festival.
Awesome.
Thank you, Michelle. Lisa Johnson from CP has another quick question.
Hey, sorry, this just popped into my head, but looking forward to the fall,
yes.
We have a new speaker in the speaker's chair.
Yes.
It happens to be somebody who ran against you for mayor
Sure
in
is.
Calgary. I wonder how does it make your heart feel that a former rival will be your referee?
You're ruining what I wanted to be the very first line of my first statement in the House, which was looking up at the speaker and going, huh. Did either of us think that this is where we would end up? Actually, I get along with Rick McIver very, very well. Probably as well as anyone on the other side of the House. He was a very honorable opponent. We spent a lot of time working on projects like the Green Line and the Springbank Dry Dam over the years since he's been in office. He's going to be a terrific speaker. I have no doubt of that. And we'll have some fun together. We always have.
You're good, Lisa? Okay, Sean, I believe you had you can do it after? Yeah, sure, that's no problem.
We're standing right here, Sean.
They want to ask Kurteja a question in Punjabi.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you,
Alberta
everyone,
summer.
for joining us. Mind how you go.